how can you create more by doing less? Now, that probably seems like a bit of a contradiction, but let me explain it better. I was reading a report the other day that Dan Kennedy had put together. Now, if you don't know Dan Kennedy, I highly recommend you do a Google search on him. There's a lot of great content by Dan on marketing and sales and all those different things. So if it's something that you are into, I highly recommend you buy a couple of Dan's books or find out a little bit more about him. But anyway, he had a gentleman come to him, a client, who had a business. What he would do was he would go into a store or some kind of business, and what his job was, he was going to reduce the amount of thefts that were happening at the business. Now, I don't know whether he was the store owner himself or whether he had come from the other side of the track, but what he would do is he would go into your business, he would make an assessment, and he would say to you, well, if you are losing stock out the back door, it's probably because of this reason. Your staff are doing this, the delivery men are doing this, and if you correct all these points, you'll find that your profits will go up because you're not going to be losing stock. So what he would do was he would go around and he would give speeches to businesses, and he would explain what exactly his business was and how store owners were losing a lot of the profit out the back door. So what he would do then is, from that speech, people would hire him, and he had his own kind of small number of staff that would go around your store, and they probably had checklists, or they would action that they would need to take, and by the end of the day they would have closed up all those loopholes. They would have prevented a lot of those thefts happening. So the store owner was very, very happy with it. Now, when Dan was talking to this man, the man had produced a load of testimonials and reviews about the speech he gave. Now, a lot of people had said, well, that was a fantastic speech you gave, I learned a lot from it, and blah blah blah. But Dan found that when he was looking at that, he found that there was more people who were actually ranting and raving about the speech than there were about the business itself. So then he had looked at the business and he had said to him, well, rather than doing the additional bit of having your own staff do that in the store, why not just cut that off and get rid of it and just solely speak to your clients? And that's what he did. He had laid off his staff, he didn't use them anymore, and what he did was he took his speech on the road or whatever I'm not too sure exactly how he did it, but he got himself in front of more of those people, and because of that then he was working less, he had less expenses, and he found that the following year he made $5 million in profit. Now, that is a good example of doing less and making more. Now, not all of us have this kind of, we probably don't have a business like that we can just chop off 3/4 of it and just go off. But I want you to think about that for a moment. Think about your business. Is there a lot of things you're doing in your business right now that aren't useful, that are a waste of your time, and maybe you should drop them? Because it's easy for us to do the kind of monkey see, monkey do, where you're looking at somebody else in the same business as you, and they are, doing all these different action steps, and we think, well, if I'm in the same business as him, I need to be doing the exact same things as he's doing. But chances are good that other person could be copying somebody else, who could be copying somebody else, who could be copying somebody else, and you might find that nobody has ever given that the things that they do, given any thought, and they're just, monkey see, monkey do, doing the same actions as everybody else. And maybe, you don't need to do all the action steps that you're doing. You don't need to do maybe as much social media as everyone else is doing. You don't need to write as much as you do. So I want you to think about that for a moment. Is there any way, because it's probably something you've never ever thought about. You've never thought, how could you make more money from doing less? So that was something you should think about this week. Now, another thing you can do is making more by doing less is taking some of the content that you already have created and diluting it down. Now, what I mean by diluting it down is, if I had maybe a training course where I was showing somebody how to do something, what if I took a small portion of that course, diluted it down, and create a lead magnet from it? So what I could do is I could take part of the course that somebody could take action on, but that was useful, but it would need to be part of the main course for it to be really, really useful and for them to get the most from it. So when they went through that lead magnet, I gave them a couple of tips and tricks that they could use, put into their business or their life or whatever it is. But when they got to that stage, they would need the full course to reap the benefits of it. So what you can do is you could create a lead magnet from that watered down content, put it behind an opt-in page, so someone has to give their email address to get that report. So it's a handy way for you to come up with lead magnets. It's a handy way for you to, again, take another piece of content, water it down, again, make it useful. Don't just, provide fluff, but it could be content for your social media, it could be content for videos, it could be content for podcast episodes, and you're basically just reusing content that you already have created, and you're making more from it by doing less and by giving less away. So again, give that a thought as well too. Is there any way you could take some of your content, water it down in some way, again, make it useful, that it's not just fluff, and have that for content that is going to promote you, drive traffic back to that product page, and hopefully sell that content for you, or again, give you ideas for content you can use on your blog or your video or your social media. Or again, even if you are maybe just writing blog posts, how about diluting down that content, maybe just taking a sentence or two, taking a tip or a trick, and then taking that over to your social media and doing it as a tweet, or put it on the background, a nice image, and put it on your Instagram page or your Facebook page or whatever. Again, just taking a small piece of your content and driving traffic and sales back to your business. So those are two things you need to keep in mind. Should you really be doing as much as you are doing, or have you given any much thought into making more from doing less? And then take some of your content, water it down, dilute it, and then use that as lead magnets, podcast episodes, YouTube videos, or whatever you are doing at the moment, and it'll help you get more of your content out there and attract more eyeballs to you, and hopefully traffic and profits in the long run. So as always, thanks for sharing your time with me again today. If you'd like to know more about me, you're very welcome to come over to writecom.com. That's WRITECOME.com, and you'll find all the videos and all the details of everything I do over there. So as always, thanks for sharing your time with me again today. Take care and have a great day. Bye bye.